couple of girlfriends, which is pretty normal for her. She's normally back around 2 a.m. on these nights, so I waited up. Around 2:30, I called to check in. She answered, and I could hear people in the background. She told me they went to a party but were leaving in a couple of minutes. She wasn't home by 3, so I texted. It delivered, but no reply. Around 4 a.m., I called again. It rang a couple of times before she sent me to voicemail. My wife finally came stumbling through the door at 6:47 this morning. I know the exact time because I was worried. She was wearing a dress she didn't leave the house in, with mesh leggings I've never seen either. The leggings had clearly been torn, and her makeup was smudged. My heart sank when I saw her. My immediate worry was that she had been assaulted. She only shook her head no when I asked her that. I asked her what she had been doing then, and she only said that I knew what she had been doing. And that kind of confirmed what the voice in the back of my head had been screaming since she walked in. My wife cheated on me last night. I asked her who it was. She shrugged almost casually and said it was somebody they met at the club. She went back to his house and hooked up with him, then Ubered home. She then said she didn't want to fight and just wanted to sleep. So that's what she did. She's still asleep now and didn't even take a shower before passing out. Suffice to say, our relationship is over. We don't have any kids, and we rent, so it shouldn't be an extremely complicated process. I keep trying to reason myself out of it, pretending there might be something to salvage here. I've always maintained that cheating would be a red line for me though, and I think I need to stick to that now. Now for the top advice before reading the update. If cheating is your deal breaker, and it's a totally reasonable one, the deal has been broken. When she wakes up, she's going to give you the whole song and dance that she was drunk, that she loves you, etc., etc. But the truth is, she broke your trust and your heart and your vows. Stick to your guns and leave the woman who doesn't respect you enough to stay faithful. Thank you. I don't know why it helps to hear it from another person, but it really does. I honestly don't know that I want to hear her out right now. It's not like I'm going to believe anything she tells me anyway. Also, drunk or not, it doesn't sound like by the interaction you two had she cared one iota. She didn't even try to hide the fact she cheated. You keep trying to reason yourself out of it because this just happened, and you're still in shock. The feeling of betrayal is still going to be there when the shock fades, so don't let yourself humor her now. Also, just to be 100% safe, I'd recommend an STD screening. This might not be the first time she's done something of this nature. I really don't think she's done this multiple times. If she had, she'd likely have come home and told me right away anyways. She's always been the type of person who can't keep things bottled inside. I will get tested though, it can't hurt, though I am a little scared of needles. You didn't think she'd do it the first time either. It doesn't hurt to be safe than sorry. If she's done it once, you would proceed in the assumption she's done it before, especially given her attitude. Damn man, sounds like she wanted you to catch her, like this is not the first time. That thought has crossed my mind too. How casual she was about it doesn't match with the fact that she came home in clothes I've literally never seen her in. Now for the first update. Alright, things have happened. I am no longer at home, I left. I wasn't able to get the day off work today though, so I'm writing this on my lunch now. It's been a struggle keeping myself together today, honestly. I've had to sneak off to the bathroom twice to cry. Things rough, dude. I'll post something more detailed later on, because holy freaking shit, there's a lot. I'm exhausted. I've only slept about 4 hours total since this all happened. It's gonna be a lot of text, probably longer than the first one by a bit. Also, to the woman who felt compelled to send me a topless picture, thanks, but also no thanks. My heart just isn't in that sort of thing right now. Please kick your soon-to-be ex out of the house. Don't give her the satisfaction of being the sole proprietor of a house you bought together after wronging you. It sounds like she wants you to file a divorce, but one that would end on her terms. She purposefully lied to you about when she would come home. She probably wanted you to stay awake to be agitated, and then make you even more angry by confessing to her infidelity in the coldest way imaginable. That you could have hurt her while you're angry so she can have evidence against you in court. She may have been drunk, but that wouldn't make her less calculating. OP says they rent the place in the original post. I'm glad the process is easier for them now. I have been through this with my first wife. I threw all her stuff in the front yard. She didn't show up for the divorce, so judge granted me divorce in 5 minutes. Hang in there, bro. It will get better. Now for the second update. Me again, folks. I'm sorry I didn't get around to this sooner. I wasn't able to get the day off work yesterday because my boss kind of sucks. I was a complete mess at work yesterday though, so I was allowed to take the rest of the week as vacation, thankfully. I think I went through all of the stages of grief while my soon-to-be ex was sleeping. I wasn't expecting my post to get any attention at all. I just figured I needed to try to talk to someone about it because I was not in a good headspace. I made the post in the morning, and by noon she was still conked out in the bedroom. I had processed things a bit more, and I had a rough plan in my head that I was starting to set in motion. I made a short list of questions I wanted answers to, gathered up all my important documents, laptop, etc. Then I went into the bedroom and started packing myself a suitcase. I know a lot of folks wanted me to kick her out. I did consider it. But honestly, I'm not overly attached to this place. We just rent, and I'm in a lucky enough situation to be able to say that paying half the rent for a few months isn't going to financially end me. It'll sting a little bit, I won't lie, but I'll make it, and I feel like being around this place is only going to remind me of her anyway. I need to be looking forward, not back. She ended up waking up about halfway through me packing my suitcase. There was momentary confusion as she looked around the room. Then she just started bawling. Maybe this is awful of me, but I didn't bother comforting her. I told her I had the screenshots of her Uber and text messages from her phone, and that, plus her confirmation, was enough that things between us were completely done. She didn't answer me and just cried louder. I debated trying to continue the conversation, but I decided to just pack the rest of my suitcase and head back out to the living room until she came out. When she finally left the bedroom, she sat next to me on the couch and asked me if we could talk things through. I told her as calmly as possible that wasn't how things were going to work. I was going to ask questions, and I wanted honest answers. She told me she'd be honest, so I proceeded. My voice was shaking the entire time. It was taking me everything to hold it together, but I kept going. Was this the first time she had cheated? She started crying before she answered that, then told me no. She had cheated on me multiple times over the course of our relationship. It was, and I'm going to use her words exactly here, just sex, a way for me to let off steam. None of it ever meant anything. I wrote a comment shortly after making my post, that all the love couldn't just fade away in one swoop. Well, it can. It hit me right then that I wasn't dealing with my wife. The person I was married to literally wasn't in the room. This was someone different. She refused to tell me exactly how many times she had cheated, just more than last night. Had she used protection? No hesitation from her before she nodded her head emphatically. She seemed surprised I'd even asked that. I'm still going to get tested just to be safe. I did some research into timing, and I'm going to look after it. Were her friends also cheating on their spouses? Yes and no. I tried to get her to tell me which of her friends were cheating so I could get in contact with their spouses. She probably should have, because her refusal led to me messaging pretty much the romantic partner of every one of her girlfriends I could find on social media. There are a couple I don't know or couldn't find, but I did my part. Why did she do it? This was the answer that gutted me the most. I'm going to use her exact words again. I need to have variety. I told her that it's not like our intimate life is dull. She clarified, it's not the same as something new. I didn't even have a response to that one. I had expected something about me working too much or not supporting her emotionally. Nope, she just banged other guys because she felt like it and wanted to have some fun. When I didn't respond, she started asking me about counseling and therapy. I reiterated that our relationship was over. I'd be leaving. What she did next disgusted me. My ex actually tried to be intimate with me. She put her hands on me and started trying to take off my clothes. I felt like I wanted to vomit and pushed her away after a couple of seconds. She just kept telling me that she would figure out a way to fix it, that we would work through it together. I told her that there was no way, and she started bawling again. She went to the bathroom and locked herself inside. I was just sick of everything at that point, so I called her mother and told her what was going on. The full story too, the cheating, the questions I had asked, and the fact I was leaving. I've always had a good relationship with my ex's parents. They both decided to drive to town, which is about an hour for them. Once I knew someone was on the way, I just grabbed my things and left. Her waterworks in the bathroom were just annoying me because it felt hollow to me, especially given the answers to my questions. I ended up packing another bag before I left, and took all the things that I could think of that I felt sentimental attachment to, with me. I found a parking lot and sat in my car until I was able to get in contact with a buddy for a place to crash. I tried to take a nap, but I was running on way too much adrenaline. I knew when her parents had made it to the apartment because she started calling me. When I didn't answer those, she started texting me. She had gone from sad and crying to furious. Apparently, I'm a freaking piece of trash for telling her mom everything. Whoops, I'm not sorry. I've received roughly 100 texts from her since leaving. They range from name-calling, all the way to begging me to come back, to sending me pictures of the food she ate for some reason. I haven't responded to any of them. I feel like I said my piece before leaving. So that's where I'm at now. We didn't have joint finances, so that part was easy. I canceled all the subscriptions that go to my credit card just to be sure, and changed all my important passwords. I'm crashing on a friend's couch for the next bit, but I've got some feelers out to some short-term rental places until I can find something more permanent. I've got feelers out for a divorce attorney too. A co-worker of mine had a recommendation, so barring something better, I'll probably go with him. I also wanted to say that I was shocked how supportive everyone was, and thank you for that. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. It isn't easy for me to talk about emotional things with people close to me. This was an invaluable venting place for me. Thank you all so much. Glad you've had the strength to get out of there and not put yourself through more of your ex's BS. I find it funny that she started crying now. Seems like a complete flip from how heartless and cold she was to you when she first came home. Good riddance and good luck to your future OP. I honestly don't know if she was crying because I was leaving, or just because she was caught and the little universe she had built for herself was crumbling. I'd like to think she cared I was leaving on some level, but her response to the whole thing does make me question. I'm looking into therapy, but as weird as it sounds, I want the anger to fuel me a little longer. The crying was the same reason a child cries when it gets caught with its hand in the cookie jar. The way she responded and acted, and her reasoning behind all of it, tells me she didn't care. She just cared about getting caught and that this will change her way of living. Honestly, her crying sounds way more attention-seeking and obnoxious, and she only did that to get sympathy from her ex and back together with him. Yeah, right. Like that's going to work. Also, she's delusional. Goddamn. None of it ever meant anything. That line that so many cheaters use perfectly illustrates how selfish these people are. I read several cheaters posting online using that same excuse. I don't know, maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe in the moment, they aren't thinking about their spouse. It still doesn't change the decisions they make to continually mislead, but maybe it's not an outright lie. To them it didn't mean anything. And the bit they say not with words but actions is that, neither do you. She's freaking mental, and the fact she had the gall to call you a piece of trash despite her treachery and dishonesty is sad. She's delusional that she thinks she can fix it. Don't look back, OP, you did well with this, and I hope this isn't too turbulent of an episode of life in the end. Now for the last story. Wife, 35 female, and I, 35 male, suggested we get a white sperm donor. We are both Chinese. I am worried she never was attracted to me. My wife and I have been married for 4 years, and for the past 3.5 years, we have been trying to conceive. It has been tough for the both of us. We both have really busy jobs, and we have a dog that has been sick, plus our commutes to our jobs are both an hour long, so it just adds a lot of strain on our relationship. The frustration that has been going on now is that we still haven't been able to get pregnant. We have gone to fertility doctors, and they haven't said that either of us are infertile. We have started really tracking my wife's cycles. I have done some yoga, eating healthier, and getting sunlight. We even planned our trips to Florida during the time my wife is ovulating. We have not tried IVF as it is really expensive, and it would completely eat away our emergency fund, and it usually requires multiple tries as well. My wife and I were talking about this, and she has asked me about how I would feel about a sperm donor. I told her I really would like to be the father of my children, but if it came down to it, I would be open to a sperm donor or adoption. She then starts going off about how picking a sperm donor is actually really great, because it's one of the places you can pick out the exact genetics you want for your kid. This was lighthearted. I was like, yeah, it's cool. She then asks me how would I feel about choosing a white sperm donor. I was like, I would be against it. And then she starts asking me why. And I am like, hey, I would like my children to look like me. She then is like, that's a really patriarchal and racist concept. She then starts listing off all the great things that would happen. She is like, our kids would be taller, they would fit better into American society, and then starts going off on how interracial babies are the cutest. I am getting visibly uncomfortable, so she kind of backs of the topic. I'll be honest, like if we went to the sperm bank and all we got are white sperm, I am like, okay, that's fine. But this coming from my wife makes me really uncomfortable. First, we haven't even tried IVF, and neither of us are infertile. And if we go for a sperm donor, we would need to pay for IVF for that as well. And what makes me feel really uncomfortable is the fact that I think almost all of the guys she dated before me were white. And I had some friends be like, dude, she is only with you because she is 30 plus and looking to settle down. And I just brushed them off. But now the fact that we are having these talks already is making me really uncomfortable. I don't know what to tell her. Seriously, now I am wondering if I am even her type. Like if we have an Asian child, will she be like, oh, I wish he was a mixed race one? I am legitimately scared. I'll say this, that the workload plus stress has taken a toll on our relationship, so I am not sure if I should take it in as negative way as I am. Is couples therapy a good option for our situation? Now for the advice. Attraction aside, it sounds like your wife has some deep-seated complex about her race. This is something you might want to unpack before you go forward with IVF. Or maybe she's banging a white dude and wants him to be okay with a white baby coming out. I have a feeling she's secretly taking Plan B or using some form of contraceptive behind his back. I mean, if neither are infertile and suddenly she's super hopeful about a sperm donor, it doesn't sit right with me. Seems like she was just waiting for this opportunity so she can choose what her baby looks like. Ask her how she would feel if you had a white woman donate her eggs. Probably time to put the kids' talk on hold and do some counseling. That would be a good place to start, since there is some deep-seated things coming out in these talks. I wouldn't even say white because she clearly thinks whiteness is better. I'd say another non-white or Asian race. You'll see how quickly she'll change her mind. There's a reason she asked for a white donor and not a donor of any other race.